Good morning, it's Grandpa Butler. Thank you for joining me for another experiment in art. We have our watercolor crayons here, and the sky here is going to be a light blue, this royal blue, and this dark yellow here. After the sky, we're going to get the upper decks of the picture here on top of the cliffs. The buildings will be with the pink, blue, and the greens there. And then the cliffs here are going to be all kinds of variegated colors, and then the ocean will have along the edges, bottom here, raw umber, and then some light colors there. So let's move the ocean over here, the cliffs up here, and the upper decks right there, and start up here with the sky. Okay, so how about putting the sun there? And maybe I should have drawn in Grandpa. These are all experiments for Grandpa. And so he's always learning what he should have done after the fact here and having a great time. So art is fun. Get out your crayons, your watercolor crayons, and make some marks. We've been working the last week or so on sort of impressionistic art, and so we've been leaving, even if anything, more of the pigment in our paintings, not just as signs of life, but as the streams of color that we want to acknowledge in the world around us. And it's really an amazing place. I hope you're all doing well. So the sun here, so we want to have this kind of impressionistic look. And there's different impressionists out there. This painting here is after one by Claude Monet. I saw it this week, a couple days ago, and I was bouncing up and down, getting in my bounces for the day. And I thought, wow, those are some amazing colors. And I have not ever before, except for Starry Night, used any other artist's paintings as kind of inspiration for, well, I'm sure for inspiration in all kinds of ways, but not explicitly for inspiration. Explicitly for a painting. Well, I'm repenting of that here today. So I think we got enough sky in there. Now let's do the upper decks. So what we're doing in the last week or so is we are playing around with our mister once we get in our sky and stuff. So here we're going with our building colors and upper decks. Most of this here is green out here, and light greens here. We'll bring a little bit, we meant going to have this in the sea here too, but why not bring that up a little bit in here. Then a darker green here and there, especially around the buildings to give them a kind of foundation here. And then their buildings themselves. I just decided on the spur of the moment that maybe we should put in a few kind of pinkish tones that we'll see in the waters below, up in our buildings here. So we'll do that just by dabbing there and there. You know what? We need some red here. So Grandpa's going to grab a red here. There's no impressionist painting hardly around that doesn't deserve at least one red building or side of a barn. Okay, we've taken care of our red quota for the art here. Our trees up here. And now we're going to put in our dark blue quotas. Nah, we can never reach our quotas on dark blues, but we can get closer here, as in the building here, the shade of the building, and maybe even around the edges of the buildings here. Give it some structure here, and then we'll mix them together and see how that goes. Okay. Okay, and another one over here, and maybe a little bit of shading over there, and a little bit more pink in there and there. So we've come up here to the upper decks. We want a little bit here and there of a touch of our dark green throughout the lighter green forest here. And then we'll come up and do the cliffs next. How's that? Okay, so I should set those aside. One of my crayons fell down here. Sorry. Okay. And come down here. Get some of these sky colors coming up to our buildings, just so it sets them off a little bit more. Grandpa's not a trained artist. Grandma wanted him to get back into art after 50 years away from it. And so she got him these watercolor crayons and some pastels. So last year was my pastel period, and this year we're starting since May 2021 with watercolor. Watercolor crayons, and we've been learning how to use those. Okay, so now we want to do the cliffs. So there's the ocean, and here comes the cliffs. On the top of the cliffs, here we want some reds. I think we want even some more contrast with it. So I'm going to do some reds, some crimson reds and some kind of darkish blues, and come down here on this cliff here. Man, these were nice colors that were chosen here by Monet. You wonder how much time he spent. I have no background in art history, but you wonder how much time he spent on his paintings. I think not as much as those who preceded him. I think he wanted to have fun too with colors, arts, and oils. And he succeeded greatly, of course. Still, it looks like when you look at his paintings that they're fairly large, rather beautiful, distinctive. Okay, so you can see what we're doing here, right? You can see that we're kind of coloring and drawing at the same time in here. And what we want to do is get in some contrasting colors so that when they butt up against this cliff right here in the foreground, so we're going to put little bits of yellow in here. In that part here, let's make this whole thing here yellow. So we're going to mist this, get out our brush when we're done, and spray it for a second. The one thing that does take a while with this sort of Van Goghish, impressionist, Monet-ish kind of style is that there's so many colors to put in. You end up spending a lot of time putting them in. Now when I do the red and the blacks together, the reds and blues together, you get a kind of darkish, almost blackish effect, which is, of course, what we want. And coming down there against that. Now let's go from, I want some little bit of yellows in here down to the bottom. The very bottom here, we're going to put in our dark umber shoreline here. And maybe shadow. And so we'll do some shadow over here since it's in my hand. Okay. Orange. How about some orange and then some blue strokes here. There we go. And we're getting some strokes in here. So we're stroking along the structure of the cliffs. This is an impressionist kind of gambit, I think. They would have used more colors, taken more time than we will. We're doing this to find out how it looks and to have a good time. So you can see Grandpa's trying to draw just kind of arbitrarily the white marks here and the cliffs going down. Maybe here and there a little bit of darker hues. You'll see how that works out. And just under the crimson, maybe a little bit of darker hues there. And near the shoreline, we can pretend those are some sort of rocky things. Okay, so keep our yellows over here. And again, we'll between the yellows to sort of emphasize the stroke of the yellows down here. We'll put some other colors in here. Move over into some orange here. And I think we should try something new over here. And that's maybe some English red here. Get out our English red. And come up here. Yeah, I know. We're having so much fun. It's almost criminal, isn't it? Bring some of that English red up there just for fun too, along there. Let's put some kind of blues back in here. And some light English red on top of it. So when we mix them together, they kind of mix a little bit. And maybe on top of that, a little darker blue here. That's kind of structure. How's that? And finish off here with a couple of streaks of dark blue. And some lighter blue. Some yellow. contrast to the English red. Well, when we light it up with some water, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like, right? Grandpa's going back with this blue crayon just to, when he waters it up, to kind of highlight it. Now the umber here will only represent shadows and things, but we'll have it be part of the rocks out here in the currents. And again, it wouldn't be a true impressionist unless we had a dab of red here and there, at least in a dab of our paintings here and there. So we're going to come out here with some blue, light blue, and we messed it up, kind of like it's a little bit of water, but in true impressionist fashion. We're going to have other, along the shore, other shades of blue, and away from the shore, other pastel shades. So let's get those other shades in, Grandpa, and get to the fun misting part. Okay, I read you. I get it. Now this is darker right here in the foreground, so maybe what we'll do is we'll have a little bit of darker blue in there. Not to be too explicit about it, and then we'll get in the lighter colors here. Okay, time to mist up. And then stroke it. When you stroke, always go in the direction of your that you put your watercolor crayons in, which is kind of a structural, the way the slopes on the hillside go, the way the currents go sideways, so that you don't make a gray mess here. So let's see what kind of mess we've made. Get out our spritzer here, and a piece of paper, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we spritzed it up, and we've added some water there. And now what we're going to do is here and there, we're going to add a few strokes. Bring out the color and bring out the structure of our painting here. Okay. Let's see what Grandpa's doing here. All right, he's just having a good time. Okay, so we got those few strokes in the sky. Now maybe a few strokes in the building. So maybe we'll have to try this on future. Get a little blue in my brush and just let it smear down on the fronts here of this building. I think I'm good with that. Coming across here, get our tree in. Let's make our barn a little bit even more reddish. Okay. Okay. Not enough strokes in this rock for Van Gogh. Maybe we can just go up and down several times. Give it the Van Gogh Monet look here. How's that? Does that look like an oil painting now? Almost, Grandpa. You can do it. Hang in there. Hang in there, Grandpa. Okay. I'm thinking, seems to be drying out a little bit down there, so we'll keep things lively. Yeah, I kind of like that effect. That's kind of fun. So let me bring my brush along here. Okay. And along here. Okay. And stroke down here. Maybe dabble, splotch it here and there. Whoops, I used the magic word splotch. I'm invoking the splotch spirits on my painting here. Let's see if they're going to treat me well or ill today. Splotch, 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 splotch. Well, so far I think they've been at least neutral and maybe even favorable, right? Okay. And bring some of that down into the yellows there. And maybe some more kind of splotch effects down in here. So, what's time intensive about this is, right, it's just drawing with the crayons, and then coming back here with your brush, any kind of watercolor brush will do, and kind of getting in some splotchy stroke marks as if we could afford to do oils, but we're doing them with watercolors. Okay, last part here. We'll stroke along here. Splotchy strokes there. Okay, that's more stroke and not splotchy like we want here. Yeah, but looking at it overall, I'm kind of liking where it's ending up here. A little bit of touch of pink. And you can see just a little bit of that red coming out. Right? Let's put it, I'll highlight it a little bit more. Okay. So I want to leave some of the pigment in. I want to turn a lot of it into kind of splotch marks here. Okay, so that's our painting for today. Thank you for being with Grandpa. It was fun. Hope you have a good day. Take care. Love you.